He's like a cold shower in bed, I swear. The passion just dies the moment he touches me. My wife's voice carried across the backyard patio where I had just stepped out to grab another beer from the cooler. Her friends were gathered around the outdoor table, wine glasses in hand, completely unaware that I was within earshot. I froze behind the sliding door, my hand still on the handle. This wasn't some private conversation I was accidentally overhearing. This was my wife publicly trashing our most intimate moments to her circle of friends at our own dinner party. Really? He seems so confident, though, one of her friends responded, and I recognized the voice as belonging to her college roommate, who visited occasionally. Trust me, confidence doesn't translate to the bedroom. It's like he follows some manual or something. Zero spontaneity, zero fire. I honestly don't know how I'm supposed to feel excited about someone who approaches intimacy like he's checking items off a grocery list. The laughter that followed felt like acid in my veins. These women were laughing at me, at us, at something that should have remained sacred between husband and wife. I stepped back into the kitchen, setting the beer down with deliberate control. My hands weren't shaking, my voice wasn't cracking, but something fundamental had shifted in that moment. The woman I had married, the woman I had trusted with my vulnerabilities, was using those vulnerabilities as entertainment for her friends. 20 minutes later, I walked back onto the patio carrying a tray of appetizers, wearing the same pleasant expression I had maintained all evening. Hope everyone's having a good time, I said, making eye contact with each of her friends, wondering which ones had been part of this conversation before tonight. My wife looked up at me with that bright smile she always wore when hosting. We were just talking about how different men and women are when it comes to communication, she said smoothly. Is that so? I replied, setting the tray down. What conclusions did you reach? Oh, you know how it is. Women share everything with their friends. Men keep everything to themselves. She reached over and squeezed my arm affectionately, the same gesture that had always made me feel connected to her. Now it felt like a performance. Interesting perspective, I said, maintaining my composure. I always thought some things were meant to stay between couples, but maybe that's just my old-fashioned thinking. The conversation moved on to safer topics after that, but I spent the rest of the evening observing, watching how she interacted with me versus how she interacted with her friends. Noticing the subtle eye rolls when she thought I wasn't looking. The way she positioned herself slightly away from me when we sat together. After the guests left and we were cleaning up, she wrapped her arms around me from behind while I loaded the dishwasher. That was fun tonight. Everyone loves coming over here. I'm sure they do, I replied, continuing to rinse plates. Lots to talk about. She didn't catch the edge in my voice, or if she did, she chose to ignore it. I'm exhausted though. Rain check on tonight. There it was. The casual rejection that I now understood was probably fodder for tomorrow's phone calls with her friends. How many times had my normal human response to being turned down become material for her entertainment? Of course, I said, turning to face her. Wouldn't want to be pushy. She kissed my cheek and headed upstairs, completely oblivious to the fact that everything had changed. I finished cleaning the kitchen in silence, replaying every word I had heard, every laugh that had followed. The woman upstairs had just taught me something valuable about respect, about boundaries, and about the difference between a wife and a roommate who shares gossip about you with her friends. She had no idea that her cold shower comment was about to become prophetic in ways she never intended. Because starting tomorrow, she was going to find out what real coldness felt like. The next morning, I watched her over my coffee cup as she scrolled through her phone at the breakfast table. Every few seconds, she would smile at something on the screen, occasionally letting out a small laugh. I wondered how many of those smiles were responses to messages about our conversation from last night. Good morning, I said, my tone neutral but observant. Morning, she replied without looking up. Jessica's already texting about last night. She said she had such a good time. Jessica, the college roommate who had asked if I seemed confident. I made a mental note. I'm glad everyone enjoyed themselves, I said, buttering my toast with deliberate precision. Did you sleep well? Like a baby, she said, finally glancing up. You? Perfectly. The lie came easily. I had spent most of the night analyzing the dynamics I had been blind to for months, maybe years. Over the next few days, I began paying attention to patterns I had previously ignored. When her phone buzzed during dinner, she would immediately reach for it, often stepping away to take calls from her friends. When I asked about her day, her answers were surface level, but when those same friends called, she would disappear into another room for hour-long conversations. On Wednesday evening, I came home early from a work meeting that had been canceled. She was on the phone in our bedroom, door closed. I could hear her voice through the wall as I walked past. I don't know what his problem is lately. He's been so distant. Maybe he's finally realizing what I've been telling you all about. I continued to the kitchen, poured myself a drink, and sat at the counter. When she emerged 20 minutes later, she found me reading on my tablet. "Hey, you're home early," she said, kissing the top of my head. "How was your meeting?" "Canceled," I replied, not looking up. "How was your conversation?" "Just catching up with Mom," she said smoothly. Another lie. Her mother lived in Florida and always called in the mornings due to the time difference. It was a small detail, but it confirmed what I was beginning to understand about the woman I had married. That night, she initiated intimacy for the first time in weeks. As we lay in bed afterward, she traced patterns on my chest with her finger. "We should do this more often," she said softly. "Should we?" I asked, staring at the ceiling. "Of course. We're married. This is what married couples do." The clinical way she spoke about it made my stomach turn. This wasn't about connection or desire. This was about maintaining appearances, giving herself material to either defend or criticize later. "Is everything okay?" she asked, propping herself up on her elbow. "You seem different lately." I turned to look at her, studying her face in the dim light. "Different how?" "I don't know. Distant. Like you're thinking about something else." "I'm thinking about a lot of things," I said truthfully. "Work, life, priorities." "Well, don't think too hard," she said with a laugh, settling back against her pillow. "You'll give yourself a headache." The dismissive tone was another piece of the puzzle. How many times had she diminished my thoughts, my concerns, my perspective? How many of those dismissals had become stories shared with her friends? Friday afternoon, I worked from home while she went out for lunch with her book club. When she returned 3 hours later, her cheeks were flushed with wine and laughter. "How was lunch?" I asked from my office. "Great. We talked about everything except the book," she said, poking her head through the doorway. "You know how it is with women." "I'm beginning to," I replied, meeting her gaze directly. Something flickered across her face, a moment of uncertainty, but it passed quickly. That evening, as we prepared dinner together, her phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and smiled. "I should take this," she said, stepping onto the back porch. Through the kitchen window, I watched her pace back and forth, gesturing animatedly as she talked. When she laughed, throwing her head back, I wondered what entertaining story about our marriage she was sharing now. She returned 15 minutes later, sliding her phone into her pocket. "Sorry about that. You know how these calls go on and on." "Who was it?" I asked, continuing to chop vegetables. "Just one of the girls from last weekend. Planning another get-together." I nodded, saying nothing. But I was learning everything I needed to know about the woman who shared my bed, but not my respect. The woman who had turned our private life into public entertainment. The woman who had no idea that her husband was no longer the naive fool she thought she had married. Sunday night, as we settled into bed, she reached for me again. But this time, I gently moved her hand away. "Not tonight," I said simply. "Are you sick?" she asked, surprised. "No, just not in the mood." It was the first time I had ever turned her down, and the confusion on her face was almost amusing. She was so accustomed to being the gatekeeper of our intimacy that the possibility of me having standards had never occurred to her. "Okay," she said slowly. "Maybe tomorrow then." "Maybe," I replied, turning away from her. As she settled into sleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling and planned my next move. She wanted to play games with our marriage. She was about to discover that I played to win. Tuesday afternoon, I was washing my car in the driveway when a familiar voice called out from behind me. "Need any help with that?" I turned to find her college roommate standing at the edge of our property, looking somewhat hesitant. She lived 3 blocks away, but had never stopped by without my wife being home. "I think I've got it handled," I said, continuing to rinse the soap off the hood. "She's not here if you're looking for her." "Actually," she said, stepping closer, "I was hoping to talk to you." I shut off the hose and gave her my full attention. There was something different about her demeanor, more serious than the casual friendliness she usually displayed at social gatherings. "What's on your mind?" I asked, leaning against the car. She glanced around nervously, as if checking to make sure we were alone. "This is really awkward, but I feel like someone needs to tell you what's been going on." "I'm listening." "The things she says about you when you're not around," she began, her voice dropping. "It's not fair. It's not right. And honestly, Most of us don't agree with her. I kept my expression neutral, though my pulse quickened. What kind of things? You heard her the other night, didn't you? At the dinner party. I saw your face when you came back outside. There was no point in denying it. I heard enough. She does that constantly. Every time we get together, she finds a way to criticize you. Your bedroom skills, your social awareness, even the way you load the dishwasher. It's like she's trying to convince us that you're some kind of inadequate husband. And what do you think? She looked directly at me, her expression earnest. I think she's either blind or lying to herself. You're nothing like what she describes. You're attentive, you're respectful, you actually listen when people talk. Half the women in our group would trade places with her in a heartbeat. The validation felt good, but I was more interested in the information. How long has this been going on? Months. Maybe longer. It got worse after her promotion at work. She started acting like she was settling for less than she deserved, including in her marriage. That explained some things. Her promotion had come with a significant raise and more responsibility. Around the same time, she had started making subtle comments about our lifestyle, our house, our social circle. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because it's wrong, she said firmly. Marriage is supposed to be about loyalty, about having each other's backs. What she's doing is the opposite of that. And because you disagree with her assessment, a slight blush colored her cheeks. Maybe. Look, I'm not trying to cause problems in your marriage, but someone needed to tell you that her opinion isn't shared by everyone who knows you. I studied her face, reading the subtext of what she wasn't saying directly. Has she always been like this? Critical of the people closest to her? In college, yes. She had a boyfriend for 2 years who could never do anything right according to her. But around him, she was sweet as pie. It was only when he wasn't there that she would tear him apart. What happened to that relationship? He figured it out eventually. One of his fraternity brothers heard her at a party, making jokes about his performance in bed. When he confronted her, she tried to play it off as harmless girl talk. He didn't buy it. The pattern was becoming clear. This wasn't about me or our marriage specifically. This was about who she was as a person. There's something else, she continued, looking uncomfortable again. Last week at lunch, she was talking about how she might be wasting her prime years with someone who can't keep up with her new lifestyle. Keep up how? Financially, socially, physically. She's been making comments about how successful women sometimes have to make difficult choices about their partners. I felt a cold calm settle over me. Sounds like she's already made her choice about me. That's just it, she said quickly. I don't think she has. I think she's testing the waters, seeing how much support she'd get from us if she decided to leave. But every time she brings it up, most of us change the subject or defend you. Most of you. Jessica encourages her, says she should follow her heart and not settle for comfortable. But the rest of us think she's crazy for not appreciating what she has. I absorbed this information, adding it to everything else I had observed. Why risk telling me this? If she finds out you warned me, it could end your friendship. Some things are more important than friendship, she said. Besides, I'm tired of watching someone I care about make a huge mistake based on her own insecurities. Someone you care about? Your wife, obviously, but also you. The admission hung in the air between us. I nodded slowly. I appreciate you telling me this. It confirms some things I was already starting to figure out. What are you going to do? I'm still deciding, I said honestly. But now I have a clearer picture of what I'm dealing with. She turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, I think you deserve better than someone who badmouths you to her friends. A lot of women would recognize your value. After she left, I finished washing the car in thoughtful silence. The conversation had provided crucial intelligence about my wife's true character and her long-term intentions. But it had also revealed something else. I wasn't as isolated in this situation as I had thought. When my wife came home that evening, I was grilling dinner on the back patio. Smells good, she said, kissing my cheek. How was your day? Enlightening, I replied, flipping the stakes. Yours? The usual. Work drama, boring meetings. Oh, and I ran into your buddy at the grocery store. He said you two should get together soon. I knew she was fishing for information about my activities, probably wondering who I had talked to during the day. The paranoia was starting to show. Which buddy was that? I asked, playing along. I can't remember his name. Tall guy, works in finance. She was lying again, testing to see if I would volunteer information about who I had spoken with today. I'll have to ask around, I said casually. Narrow it down. That night, as we ate dinner, I watched her with new eyes. Every gesture, every comment, Every story about her day was filtered through what I now knew about her true nature. She was beautiful, successful, and charming. She was also disloyal, manipulative, and calculating. The question now was how to proceed with this knowledge. But thanks to today's conversation, I was beginning to see possibilities I hadn't considered before. Friday evening, I made my move. My wife was in the shower when I sent out a group text to several couples from our social circle, including her college roommate and her husband. Impromptu gathering tomorrow night. Backyard barbecue, 7 o'clock. Bring whatever you want to drink. Low-key, just good company. By the time she emerged from the bathroom, 3 couples had already responded positively. When her phone buzzed with the group notifications, she picked it up with curiosity. "You planned a party without telling me?" she asked, not sounding entirely pleased. "Spontaneous get-together," I corrected. "Nothing fancy. Just felt like having people over. I wish you had asked me first. I might have wanted to plan a menu or clean the house properly. The house is fine, and I'm handling the food. You don't need to do anything except show up." She frowned, clearly uncomfortable with not being in control of the social planning. "Who's coming?" I rattled off the names, watching her face carefully when I mentioned her college roommate and husband. "Why them?" she asked, a slight edge in her voice. "They're fun company. Is there a problem?" "No. I just thought maybe we could keep it to our closer friends." Translation: she preferred audiences that were more likely to validate her opinions rather than challenge them. Too late now? Everyone's already confirmed. Saturday evening arrived with perfect weather. I spent the afternoon preparing food and setting up the backyard, making sure everything looked effortless. When guests started arriving at 7, my wife was still getting ready upstairs, clearly annoyed that she hadn't been able to orchestrate the evening herself. The college roommate arrived with her husband around 7:15. She caught my eye briefly as they settled into chairs around the fire pit, and I gave her an almost imperceptible nod. "This is really nice," she said, accepting a drink from me. "Sometimes the best parties are the ones you don't plan to death." My wife appeared just as the last couple arrived, looking stunning as always, but wearing a forced smile. She immediately gravitated toward Jessica, who had brought her newest boyfriend, a guy in his early 30s who worked in real estate. As the evening progressed, I played the perfect host, making sure everyone had drinks and food while keeping conversations flowing. I was particularly attentive to my wife, refilling her wine glass and including her in every discussion, giving her no reason to complain about my behavior later. Around 9 o'clock, after everyone had eaten and the wine had been flowing freely, the conversation naturally turned to relationships. It started innocently enough, with someone asking the newer couple how they had met. "Dating apps," Jessica's boyfriend said with a laugh. "Took 3 months of terrible first dates before I found this one." "The modern way," someone else commented. "Remember when people met organically? I think dating was simpler when our parents were young," my wife chimed in, settling deeper into her chair. "People had more realistic expectations." "How so?" I asked, genuinely curious to see where she would take this. They understood that marriage was about companionship and partnership, not constant excitement and passion. People today expect too much. "You don't think passion is important in a marriage?" the college roommate asked, shooting me a quick glance. "Of course it's important," my wife replied, "but it's not sustainable. Eventually, you have to accept that the person you married is who they are. You can't expect them to be something they're not." The conversation was heading exactly where I had hoped it would. "But shouldn't couples keep trying to maintain that spark?" Jessica's boyfriend asked. "I mean, why settle for boring?" "There's a difference between boring and realistic," my wife said, her voice taking on the tone she used when she felt like educating someone. "Some people confuse stability with lack of excitement. They think if their partner isn't constantly surprising them or sweeping them off their feet, something is wrong." "Sounds like you're speaking from experience," Jessica said with a smirk. My wife glanced at me briefly, then back to the group. "I think most married women understand what I'm talking about. You learn to appreciate reliability over excitement, predictability over surprises." "Predictability in what way?" I asked, maintaining a casual tone. "In everything. The way someone approaches responsibilities, conversations, even intimacy. Some people are just more practical than others." There it was, the opening I had been waiting for. "That's interesting," the college roommate said carefully. "I always thought intimacy should be the one area where couples could still surprise each other." "Ideally, yes," my wife replied, taking another sip of wine. But reality is different. Some people are just naturally more mechanical in their approach to things. The silence that followed was telling. Several people shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Mechanical, I repeated, my voice perfectly calm. That's an interesting choice of words. My wife realized she had stepped too far, but the wine had loosened her tongue beyond the point of easy retreat. I didn't mean anything negative by it. Just that some people approach intimacy like it's a task to complete rather than an experience to enjoy. Like following a manual, Jessica added with a laugh, clearly encouraging her friend to continue. Exactly, my wife said, emboldened. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, mission accomplished. No spontaneity, no passion, just going through the motions. The college roommate set down her wine glass with deliberate precision. I have to disagree with that. I think when someone approaches intimacy carefully and thoughtfully, it shows they care about their partner's experience. That's not mechanical, that's considerate. There's a difference between considerate and passionless, my wife shot back. And there's a difference between passionate and respectful, I said quietly, my voice cutting through the tension. Some people confuse selfishness with passion. Every eye turned to me. The moment had arrived. For instance, I continued, meeting my wife's gaze directly. Someone who truly cared about passion and excitement might focus on creating it rather than complaining about its absence. They might ask themselves what they're contributing to the problem instead of just criticizing their partner's efforts. My wife's face flushed, but she was trapped by the public setting and her own words. That's a good point, the college roommate said firmly. Communication goes both ways. If someone isn't happy with their intimate life, maybe they should have an honest conversation with their partner instead of just expecting them to read minds. Or instead of discussing it with everyone except their partner. I added, my tone still conversational, but my meaning unmistakable. The silence stretched for several seconds before someone mercifully changed the subject to weekend plans. But the damage was done. My wife barely spoke for the rest of the evening, and when the last guest left around 11, she was waiting for me in the kitchen with her arms crossed. What was that about? She demanded. What about? I asked, loading glasses into the dishwasher. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I turned to face her, my expression calm, but my voice carrying steel. You mean the part where you publicly criticized our intimate life to our friends? Or the part where I suggested that might not be appropriate? I wasn't criticizing anything specifically. No, you were just describing your husband as mechanical and passionless to a group of people who have to look at me across dinner tables for years to come. For the first time since I had known her, my wife looked genuinely afraid. Not of me, but of the consequences of her own actions. I didn't mean it like that, she said weakly. Yes, you did. And now everyone knows exactly what you meant. She tried to recover, straightening her shoulders and adopting the defensive posture I had come to recognize. You're overreacting. It was just girl talk that got a little carried away. Girl talk. I repeated, my voice dangerously quiet. Is that what you call it when you tell your friends I'm like a cold shower in bed? When you describe me as mechanical and passionless to people we have to face socially? Her face went white. How did you? I heard you. Last weekend at our dinner party. I heard every word you said about me to your friends while I was getting drinks. She opened her mouth to speak, but I held up my hand. I've been watching you for weeks since then. Listening to your lies about who you were talking to on the phone. Observing how you treat me versus how you talk about me. Tonight was just giving you enough rope. It wasn't that bad, she protested weakly. Wasn't that bad? You turned our private life into entertainment for your friends. You made me a joke in our social circle. You violated every principle of loyalty and respect that marriage is supposed to be built on. Tears started forming in her eyes, but they looked more like panic than genuine remorse. I was just venting frustrations. All women do it. No, they don't. Your college roommate certainly doesn't. She came to me this week to tell me how disgusted she was by your behavior. She said most of your friends think you're crazy for not appreciating what you have. The tears stopped. She told you what? She told me that you've been doing this for months. That you've been testing the waters about leaving me. That you think you're too good for this marriage now that you got your promotion. That's not true. Which part? The part where you called me inadequate? The part where you said successful women sometimes have to make difficult choices about their partners? Or the part where Jessica encourages you to follow your heart and not settle for comfortable? Each revelation hit her like a physical blow. She grabbed the counter for support. She had no right to tell you those things. She had every right. Someone needed to have enough integrity to tell me what my own wife was saying behind my back. I never said I wanted to leave you. You didn't have to. Your actions said it for you. The question now is what we do about it. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. What do you mean? I mean you have a choice to make. You can continue being the kind of woman who disrespects her husband publicly while pretending to love him privately. Or you can decide to become the kind of wife who deserves the man she married. I do love you. No, you love the security I provide. You love having someone to blame for your own dissatisfaction. You love having material for your gossip sessions. But you don't love me. That's not fair. Fair. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been coming to me with your concerns instead of entertaining your friends with them. Fair would have been giving me a chance to address your complaints before sharing them with everyone we know. She was crying freely now, but I felt nothing. The woman I had fallen in love with wouldn't have done what she did. This person was a stranger wearing my wife's face. What do you want me to do? She asked through her tears. First, you're going to call every person who was here tonight and apologize for your behavior. You're going to take full responsibility for disrespecting our marriage publicly. I can't do that. It would be humiliating. Not as humiliating as what you did to me. But if your pride is more important than our marriage, that tells me everything I need to know. She stared at me, realizing for the first time that this wasn't a fight she could win with tears or manipulation. What else? She whispered. You're going to stop discussing our private life with anyone outside this house. Ever. No more complaints. No more criticisms. No more testing the waters about whether you can do better. And if I do all that, then maybe we can start rebuilding something worth saving. But understand this. The woman who disrespected me is gone. If you want to be my wife, you'll have to earn that title back. I don't understand. You will. Starting tomorrow, things change. No more taking me for granted. No more assuming I'll be here regardless of how you treat me. You wanted to know what losing me feels like. You're about to find out. I walked toward the stairs, leaving her standing alone in the kitchen. Where are you going? She called after me. To sleep in the guest room. When you decide whether you want to be married or just playing house, let me know. 3 days passed in complete silence. I maintained my routine, went to work, came home, and slept in the guest room. She tried approaching me twice, but I made it clear that apologies weren't what I was waiting for. I was waiting for action. Thursday morning, I found her sitting at the kitchen table with her phone and a notepad, looking defeated. I made the calls, she said without looking up. All of them. Everyone who was here Saturday night. I told them I was wrong to discuss our private life publicly and that I was sorry for putting them in an uncomfortable position. And most of them were understanding. Your college roommate friend said she was proud of me for taking responsibility. She paused. Jessica hung up on me. I poured my coffee and sat across from her. What did you tell them specifically? That I had been disrespectful to you and our marriage. That my comments were unfair and inappropriate. That I was working to be a better wife. Working to be. She finally met my eyes. I know I can't just apologize and expect everything to go back to normal. I understand that now. Do you? Because 3 days ago you thought this was just about hurt feelings. It's not, is it? It's about who I became without realizing it. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or performance. What I saw was exhaustion and something that might have been genuine remorse. Tell me who you became. Someone who took you for granted. Someone who thought she could tear down her husband to build herself up with her friends. Someone who confused success with superiority. She wiped her eyes with a tissue. Someone who nearly destroyed the best thing in her life because she was too proud to see it. And who do you want to be now? The woman who deserves you. If it's not too late. I leaned back in my chair. That depends entirely on your actions going forward. Words are easy. Behavior is what matters. What do you need from me? Consistency. Loyalty. The same respect in private that you show me in public. And patience while I decide whether I can trust you again. How long will that take? As long as it takes. You spent months undermining our marriage. It's not going to be rebuilt in weeks. She nodded, accepting the timeline without argument. There's something else, I continued. Your friend Jessica. The one who encourages you to follow your heart and not settle for comfortable. She's not welcome in our home anymore. That's not fair. She's been my friend for years. And she's been poison in your ear for months. Someone who encourages a married woman to question her commitment isn't a friend to your marriage. Choose. The ultimatum hung between us. She could keep the friend who validated her worst impulses, or she could keep the husband she claimed to want back. I'll handle Jessica, she said quietly. Good, because I won't compete with people who want to see us fail. I stood to leave for work, but she reached for my hand. Can I ask you something? What? That night, when you heard me talking to my friends, why didn't you confront me immediately? Because I needed to understand who you really were before I decided what to do about it. Confronting you in the moment would have gotten me denials and excuses. Watching you for weeks showed me your true character. And what did you decide? That the woman I married was still in there somewhere, but she had been buried under selfishness and entitlement. The question was whether she was worth digging out. And I'm still deciding. That evening, she cooked my favorite dinner without being asked. She put her phone in another room during the meal and focused entirely on our conversation. Small gestures, but meaningful ones. I've been thinking about what you said, she told me as we cleaned up together. About me confusing success with superiority. What about it? I think my promotion made me feel like I had outgrown our life together. Like I deserved something more exciting than what we had built. And now I realized that what we built was exactly what most people spend their whole lives looking for. I just got too arrogant to see it. I continued loading the dishwasher, processing her words. I don't know if I can forgive myself for what I did to us, she continued. Forgiving yourself isn't the priority right now. Earning forgiveness is. I know. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I closed the dishwasher and turned to face her. Then prove it. Every day, not with grand gestures or dramatic promises, with consistent respect and loyalty. And if I do, will you move back to our bedroom? When I'm ready, when I trust that the woman I'm sleeping next to won't be critiquing our intimacy to her friends the next day. She flinched at the reminder, but nodded. I understand. I'll wait. 3 weeks later, I moved back to our bedroom. 3 months later, I began trusting her with my vulnerabilities again. But the experience had changed both of us. She learned that marriage requires loyalty even when no one is watching. I learned that respect isn't automatic, even from someone who vowed to love you. The woman who had disrespected me was gone. In her place was someone who understood that a good man's love is earned, not entitled.